Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Noisy Neighbours podcast, the Monday City Pod. Joined with my brother, Christian. Christian, how are we doing? You
I'm
okay,
alright,
mate?
mate. Yeah,
Good stuff.
I'm happier than usually. I'm usually quite down after a City
Yeah,
game these days, so I'm pretty positive.
yeah. No, decent. Yeah. So City played on Saturday evening, 5:30 game at home to Chelsea, and yeah, you won 3-1 in the end. Got out of there. Deserved winners, to be fair. I thought. Yeah, it was a bit of a weird game. I'm really looking forward to seeing your thoughts on it. So, yeah, 3-1, few debutants, which we'll get into, some better than others. But how did you see the game? Obviously, a very good win. It was like it was a classic six-pointer, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's
Where
massive.
if you
Yeah, yeah,
lost, it was going to give you a massive ground to make up. As it is, you've actually jumped them in the table, I think. So, yeah, how did
yeah.
you see it? Obviously, a 3-1 win.
It was an interesting game, like you say. We started the game and the worst possible start for the young lad at centre back. Which I thought, in all honesty, it was a bit of a weird decision to throw him straight in. He can't talk any English, and I mean literally can't speak a word.
Mm,
To throw him in with Diaz is another thing, but
mm.
I think Akanji, who is already not playing well himself and not having a good year in general, didn't really make much sense. It was a very unpep-like thing to do. But listen, he had a bad start. We did get over it. I know he got that booking, but then Bernardo dropped into his sweeper five role, and we sort of weathered the storm. And then Chelsea, it was a bit weird, really. Chelsea just, I tell you what, they're very naive, the Chelsea attackers, because we were an injured animal, especially at the back. And it
Yeah.
just seemed like they didn't capitalise at all. I really don't understand. I don't know your take on that.
Yeah, no, I thought the exact same. I mean, look, I have very, very strong opinions on some of the Chelsea players. Certainly number 19 on the left wing, which we'll get to. But I thought the balls up one on one from Palmer was a big moment because I mean, to be honest, I've got to be honest. At the time, I didn't think it was a big moment because I thought they were going to get chance after chance after chance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Same way Spurs do against you quite a lot, where you you end up on the rocks, you're 1-0 down, and Spurs just end up beating you 3-0. It
Yeah.
felt like that to me. But Chelsea balls that one on one up with Palmer where he tried to square it. I mean, it was on. He did the right thing. He just hit it too
Mm.
hard. It was like you said, they had you there. The poor lad's on the rocks at the back, and Pep wasn't going to hook him and make and embarrass him. So
Yeah.
you think, and I saw Nicholas Jackson. I know we're going to get to Kusanov. Nicholas Jackson putting his arm round Kusanov. What has happened to this game? Cheering him up.
I agree.
Put him to the sword. I'm sorry, he's not. He's not 5 years old and playing in a charity game. He's
Yeah.
20. And I'm not being funny. If that's a sign of weakness, and I can think, well, this is my opportunity now to. Well, he was on a yellow, and he basically
You've
gave
got
a
to smell
goal.
blood.
Put him to the sword.
Yeah,
Jackson
yeah.
putting an arm around him, the dickhead. But yeah, so look, I mean, Madueke and Sancho, crap. Jackson is what he is. Palmer had an off night. He didn't
Yeah.
really get going, did he? But I agree
I
with
think,
you. They could have pulverised you. But look, hey, you got to give credit a little bit to City because you didn't. And
yeah, so look, after that, we gained a lot more control. We got further up the pitch. Marmoush was our other debutant, and
yes,
he was really impressive. I think he's
yeah,
going to be honest, he looks like the kind of player Pep is going to love
yeah,
utilising. He's going to get the best out of that guy. And I'm really excited, to be honest. I'm not going to say he didn't do anything insanely good, but I know when I see a Pep player and I know what he's going to be loving about having him in the squad, it gives us a
yeah,
completely different dimension because all of a sudden we have someone that's going to make runs in behind. We previously just never had that. He
yeah,
can also drift out wide and he's insanely dangerous. I tell you what, he's a lot faster than I knew he was. I mean, I didn't know anything about him anyway, but
yeah,
he's very quick.
yeah. No, my first reaction was he's going to get goals. That was my
Yeah,
first take away from him, and yeah, I mean, as the game progressed, I didn't think anything less of him. I mean, he should have played Foden in one-on-one, but obviously saw his
yeah, yeah.
debut goal in the lights.
Headlines.
Yeah, I mean, he just looks a smart player. Looks like he's going to pick up really good positions, like an
Yeah,
Alvarez, but maybe a bit of a quicker version, which might suit you a bit better.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, no, he chucked them both in, didn't he, Pep? There was no messing. 2-0
Yeah, I
sorted
think
straight in. I agree with the. I would not have chucked Kusanov in, but Marmoush, she was excited to get him, and you can see why. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, you pay the top dollar, but you might get the top player, and this is. I mean, look, we've just done United and our recruitment, and this fucking 80 mil potential bollocks. Marmoush doesn't look like his potential. It looks like he's going to be good now, and
Yeah,
he's going to probably ease now. Look, I mean, we'll get into what that means for a few of the other guys on that in that position, but this is exactly what I've been saying about fucking United. And look, we
you want
didn't.
to buy a player, if you're spending that much money, you want to buy a player that's ready to go in and
What?
do something. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
we have technically took, like, Soriano came out, one of our directors, and he's basically come out and said we took the best player from the Bundesliga,
yeah.
which everyone's going, oh, he's
Oh,
been quite arrogant. Well, at the end of the day, he's right.
yeah.
Based on form, he has been the best player in the Bundesliga. We've gone and taken him,
Yeah.
and to be fair, I'm really impressed. So I'm happy about that going forward. Um,
Why would you want to attach risk to an 80 mil buy? What's the point?
what?
Even look, I mean, I've said it on the United pod about Højlund and Euro. And look, I don't want to go into Euro because I've not seen enough of him. I don't know how good. And he actually did okay last night. We didn't touch on him earlier. But Højlund, 85 million euro. We just read the tweet out from David Ornstein. Why, as a club of Manchester United size, why allow you to attach risk to it and spend that much? Spend that much
Yeah.
and guarantee as much as you can. You can control the parameters. You have 85 million to go and spend. Why
When
not
did
go and
this?
spend?
When did this suddenly become a thing? Like when we were looking back, previous leagues, you went and bought the best player from the year before. So we look at Berbatov,
Yeah.
Tevez, Van Persie. Don't get me wrong, I understand inflation, so I understand that 30 mil now is drastically more.
Yeah.
However, it would be about right that if you were paying 30 mil now for a guy that's now would be like 80 mil, something like that. So
Yeah.
why now does 80 million get you something that you don't even know? Oh, he might be good in 3 years. I want him fucking good now.
Mate,
So
yeah.
I know we're
This is
singing from the same hymn sheet there,
yeah,
because I know we've just come off a pod peppering Hoyland again for like the fourth time in a
yeah.
row. But
Probably the Hoyland dregs are in my head still. But yeah, no, just on Mamouche, I thought he was really impressive. And I mean, if we're going to be probably brutally honest, I mean, Grealish is done in that
yeah,
position,
mate,
so you can forget him. Jeremy Doku was a bit of a panic buy towards the end of the window last year. He is what he is. We've
yeah,
analysed Doku again, as much as anyone, and Savinho has showed glimpses, but it doesn't feel like you have the guarantee that it looks like you have with Marmoush. And admittedly, it's his
yeah,
first game, but yeah, you could just see the way he carries himself, and he knows when to go in behind, when to come short, and these things
yeah.
Guardiola really looks for. Fucking hell, I wish my club did, but yeah, no, I thought it was really good. Tough night for Kusanov though, and you've touched on that. Not you wouldn't have started him. I wouldn't have started him either.
I'll
Not
go
just
back to
about
yeah, I'll go back to Kusanov. So just to round up the game, obviously we gained a little bit more control, so I was really happy with that. We got further up the pitch, and there's one thing I want to talk about as well. I'd like to get your input as a United fan. Say if you had Haaland in your team, or what you see with Haaland within our squad. So we started hitting Haaland long, and we've done it a couple of times. Eddie's got a couple of assists off the back of
yeah.
it, where Haaland will. What we were saying about your guy Højlund, he's incapable of using his own body to his benefit. Now, Haaland is fucking probably the best player out there to do that.
Mm.
So we do not use that enough, in my
Wow.
opinion. We don't hit him direct. Not only do we not hit him direct, we also don't give him many balls to run onto, which I feel like are his two biggest strengths. Haaland has sort of morphed into this fox in the box because his movement is insane. But I'm more bothered about the areas we aren't utilising with
Mm.
Haaland. We
Yeah.
saw it in his first year, bro, at City. Don't know if you remember this. We were actually losing a game to Palace at home, and we turned it round and won it, and he scored 3. But if
Mm.
you look at the goals he scored that day, he was bodying defenders, he was running fucking through the lines, unbelievable. And that's where Haaland is at his
Yeah.
most terrifying.
Yeah, Carragher. I mean, Carragher. Sorry, got pelters for that, but he said that Haaland's skill set would be utilised better at Klopp's Liverpool, and Haaland scored 50 goals and won the treble. But I actually got what Carragher was
Yeah,
meaning. That Liverpool mix it. They have always mixed it way more than Guardiola. Guardiola is, for the most part, plays one way, sort of a brand. Well, I know he's flexible tactically, formation,
yeah,
personnel, but his brand of football is has been the same since he was like 2009 at Barca.
yeah,
And I really thought this. on. I mean, it seems to have happened now in a close proximity of games. Brentford lumped it up to him when Brentford went man for man. Fair play to Brentford, by the way. I think we praised them at the time, but it went up to Haaland, lay off to Savinho, out to De Bruyne, Foden goal, and we saw how devastating it was on Saturday. And it is something they've got to look at. I mean, it's such a good play. I mean, it's not even like because he gets a grip of it. It's not like the Allardyce Kevin Davis action where it was Davis didn't try and bring it down, or it was a flick onto Nolan.
Yeah.
That's where the route one thing came from. But Davis was never interested in actually bringing it down and bringing players into play. Haaland is trying to do that. His goal, it went over the top in the end, but he was the one that generated the space and retained the ball himself, and then played.
Sure.
Obviously, Sanchez gave him the open goal. The second one then brings it down, plays Foden through. This isn't lumping it up, route one, flick on. Like Guardiola for me, and you think of a Champions League tie, and you think, could we mix it a little bit? And you might get through, and you never know then. I know you've got to get qualified, which is the first step.
Yeah.
But, you look at PSG and you think, the game that we watched last week with who was their back to was Marquinhos. I forget the other guy. And you think if you'd have lumped it up to Haaland, what Marquinhos is going to have joy with Haaland like that? Not a fucking chance.
I just think if you look at Haaland as an overall footballer and what he offers us in that position, I feel like we're utilising maybe 5 to 10% of his ability. Yeah. And I just think that's a fucking shame. We've just signed the guy up to a 10-year contract. So obviously, Pep is very happy with what he offers us. And surely Haaland, to the same point, must be happy in Pep's system to a certain extent, at least. But me personally, if I was Haaland, I'd be like, I'm showing you examples of what I can do. Look at the way he played when he was at Borussia Dortmund. Yeah. Look at most of his goals.
I'm interested to see what you think about this, but I'm looking at, say, so I mentioned PSG there. Some games where you've been just depressing and you've not created anything. Say the derby at the Etihad and United really just dealt with everything you chucked. Every single side-to-side possession that you had, United dealt with everything. You were then putting crosses in from shit angles, and Maguire headed everything away. United were like chuffed with that approach. You actually think about it, you go, you know what? Okay, let's bring United out a bit because they weren't parking the bus a la they have done in previous years. Bring him out a bit, and let's hit Haaland on the halfway line and collect and go from there. And it'd be panic stations. You saw Chelsea, fucking hell.
Well, players don't know how to deal with it. A, because it's something new, and B, because he is very good at it as well. What is he, about 6'4"? He's built like a brick shithouse. And not only that, his pace, if he does turn you, you're not going to be able to recover it.
Oh, well, yeah.
So,
that Sanchez is a fucking idiot, but he obviously was in just complete panic mode, seeing Haaland running through, that he ran off his line, and you got an open net for it.
I'll tell you what, just a quick one on Sanchez as well. He's making mistakes every single week.
He's crap, isn't he? I think he's always been crap, though. I never even
all the money every single game he's making, and they're not little ones either. They're big gaffes. So
you're spending 100 million every position, and you've got a shit keeper.
I know, it's a bit of a strange one. But so obviously he makes a big mistake. We get ourselves ahead. Foden bags again, which the importance of that, what I've been speaking of. If he can turn his season around, it just gives us a brand new player in that position, because the first half of the season, he was pretty ineffective. So if we've got Foden firing on all cylinders, what is he now? 7 Prem goals? He looks like he's back at it, and his general play has really improved. He looks like, what I was saying to you the other week, I want to see him with running again, with a little bit of confidence, a bit of flair, and he's not always looking just to offload a quick 5-yard pass. No, Foden, that's not what you're good at, dude. You're a lot fucking better than that. And to be fair, it looks like he's got his mojo back a little bit. And even when he went through on goal, I was like, he's going to score. Whereas if this would have happened maybe 2 months ago, I'd have been like, oh, God, he's probably going to turn around and look for a pass.
Yeah, that's the thing with Foden now, because obviously this good form has come at a good time because City have really strengthened in the window. And you look at the team now and you think, not saying he could lose his position, but he has got competition for his position. We don't know what Savinho's going to turn out like. It looks like Mamouche is going to be very good, and you're thinking, wow, right, okay, well, Foden, you're going to have to raise the last 4 or 5 games you've been very good, but this is important now, and in fairness to him, he's not shit his pants and sort of, like I said, buried his head in the sand. He has sort of shaped up and he's got himself
Definitely.
together. And he's a starter, and he's going to be a starter for the foreseeable. But yeah, no, I mean, obviously some really good signs, and that's the thing with the Route One stuff. It brings a lot of Foden's game into it because he's
Of
so
course he
good
does.
at running, and Haaland attracts attention and frees up the other guys. And I just want to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
something.
yeah. That's the big one.
Edison's got 2 assists this season. So you know the goals assist stats. Rasmus Højlund's got 2 goals assists this season. Edison's got 2 goals or assists this season.
Mm.
Well, anyway, last one on Højlund. He's shit. We know he is. But I just wanted to say
That is awful, though, when you think of
but
it.
it's
You
not
know.
just that. Edison's got 2 assists. He'd be our 3rd top assister after Fernandes and Ahmad this season.
Unfortunately, though, he's probably near to being ours as well.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, no, man, I think it's weird with City at the minute because, you know, the PSG one was just so crap, and then you actually dug in on Saturday and did well, I thought.
I think to be honest, Alex, there's still, I do agree with you, but there's still, listen, if we don't go and sign a centre mid, expect that PSG thing quite often, I'm going to be honest, because the players that we have got around.
Do you not think that leads to your point before of like playing a bit more direct to Haaland? We're going to lose the midfield battle against a good midfield.
Yeah.
PSG were always going to dominate you in there because, I mean, Christ, they might dominate everyone in there the way they looked, but not just them. Real Madrid might dominate you in there with sort of Camavinga, Bellingham, and whoever else they stick in there. Not Modric, whatever's left of Modric. Barcelona have probably got their midfield's pretty good. You know, it's these games where City, it's been City's strength. Now it's not your strength. It's not that bad. Don't get me wrong, but like Gundogan, Kovacic, and Bernardo Silva's going to lose a few midfield battles in the Champions League. What about Pep? Just relax your ego. We're gonna hit our big man long. We're gonna create 3-4 amazing chances out of it, and just see what we can do in centre mid. You know.
Yeah, he needs to. He does need to, Alex, because
some of these boys, can you?
Yeah, I think if we don't start doing that, you're going to see that PSG result quite often because we're going to lose most midfield battles, not just Champions League, I'd say Prem. I mean, how many have we lost this year so far anyway? Like I said to you, when we were doing the PSG preview, when you were asking me what do I think, and I said to you, ultimately, if you look at a game that, you know, the lineups before the game starts and their midfield is better than yours, you've not, you know, your head will tell you you're going to probably lose the game, or at best you might get a draw. Most of the time you are going to lose. The game is won and lost in midfield, in my opinion. Some might disagree with me, and especially when it is dominated as drastically as City's is currently. I mean, you've got Bernardo Silva, who, yes, it kind of made me laugh, right? So I've been seeing some City guys doing, like, on social media, doing some analysis on Bernardo, and they're going, you know, it was amazing from Bernardo. You know, he saw Kusanov was struggling and he dropped in. I'm like, well, yeah, but what's the excuse that he's been doing that every other game this year? He's like playing in a position where he's like our sweeper defender. Well, he hasn't been that. Yeah. That's not his best position, is it?
He's like Silva. Yeah, I mean, it was. But that's the thing. Like, you know, that Klopp. You know, Klopp's a good example. Klopp's heavy metal style of football. It's different to Pep's, but Klopp had success with real shit midfields in one-off games. You know, when they won the Champions League,
they were high energy though, weren't they? Even like Keita was not of a high level, but he was fucking high energy.
I mean, even the team that got 99 points, the starting midfield was Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Fabinho. I mean, look, shout out Fabinho, who's a class DM.
Yeah.
But Wijnaldum and Henderson were never like, you know, amazing number 8s, but they got by. And then even when it was like, you know, in them Champions League nights at Anfield when you were on the receiving end of a few of these, Oxlade-Chamberlain turned into fucking Gerrard. It was, you know, it's like those moments where, yes, you've got better midfield than us, but we're going to heavy metal you into oblivion. And I just look at Haaland and I look at Edison and I think, you know, you never know. And look, Champions League, you know, obviously you got to beat Bruges on, is it Wednesday or whenever you're playing?
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, Alex, you're right. And with Marmoush coming in, this is huge because, like you said with Foden, it's the same thing for Marmoush as well. If he's going to play more centrally or alongside Haaland, I mean, either way, even if he starts out wide, that guy's going to drift. I mean, he's absolutely chaotic. He was fucking all over the show. It seems like he'll just go wherever he wants. And that's pretty much what he's done all year at Frankfurt, isn't it? So
to your point, and the direct hitting of Haaland from Edison or whoever it might be, it also then opens up the in-behind run for Mamouche because the focus is on, Jesus Christ, it's going to take two of us to try and hold on to this monster on the halfway line. Mamouche, I'll just wander in behind and get a one-on-one, or, if any team is, and let's face it, Brentford were high pressing you. Teams have been high pressing City. Pep's got to look at it, man. I think, look, we know it's not your DNA, but hey, you're not going to win the league. You're 15 points adrift. It's not going to happen. But shitter teams have won the Champions League. I know your defence is another issue, but like you said, you can outscore them. Like shitter teams have won the Champions League, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I think, going forward, look, we're in a top four battle. I'm under no illusion. It's nothing more than that. I think we will comfortably get top four. Based on what I've seen, new signings-wise, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, Kusanov, look, it is what it is. Yeah, it wasn't a good debut. Everyone could see that. But I do think there is going to be a player in there. I trust City's recruitment on the whole under Pep and the directors that we've got, the guys from Barcelona, has been remarkable. So I do trust City's recruitment on the whole. There's been a couple of misses, but there's been a fucking fair few hits. So I'm pretty happy. I think, look, he's a young lad. He did drop a bollock. To be fair, it's one of them, innit? What do you do in that situation? I remember I texted you when it happened. I was like, oh my God, we need to bring him off because he made the mistake. He then made the foul, but then there was a point, right, where Akanji turned to him and it was the obvious pass to play it to him who was in space. And he turned round and give it to Vardiol, who was under much more pressure. And I was like, oh my God, even the players on the pitch don't actually trust him. So you need to take action. Anyway, this is why, I mean, like you said, Nicholas Jackson giving him a cuddle. Dude, the City players, his own players, were very concerned at that point that even they were like, shit, we just want to cover him as much as possible. I mean, Akanji's actually come out and said it, by the way. I don't know if you know this. Akanji literally came out and he said, I didn't want to put him, I tried to put him under as less stress as possible and try and cover him. So, that tells you, if that Chelsea team are not smelling fucking blood in that situation, then it's on them.
Hey, Christian, I'm not taking sort of babying of players, and you know me, I'm consistent with this approach across my team. We're joking about the Lenny Yoro that did the rounds, where I said, is Lenny Yoro good, or have we just bought another duck egg? People will think that's really harsh. We got some comments, didn't we, on social media that I should be supporting my young players. What I will say is, if you're playing at this level and you're getting paid the top dollar, you have to be of a certain mentality to accept criticism, whether it's your first minute or your 10 games in or 25 games in. This is what I was saying about Højlund, where the shirt's wearing heavy. And this is where, look, there's no way that game is going to be, you like to think, from a City perspective, it's going to be detrimental to Kusanov's career at Man City, or even the rest of the season. You hope there's something there. I watched Nemanja Vidic and Patrice Evra come in January for a combined 20 million. We somehow got them both for mega cheap. They were shocking, right?
Yeah.
Vidic became one of our all-time best centre-backs, and Evra is one of our best full-backs. Because they came out of that stronger. They took.
Well, Evra sort of had a bit of a Kusanov moment, didn't he? Weirdly against us.
It was the derby, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he said, Evra since come out.
I was just trying to think of the game, but it was the
Evra since come out, hasn't he? And he said he was chundering. He was being sick before the kickoff, and then he got out there, and then City players were targeting.
Look at the character that got created, and that's what it's about. You sort of come out of the fire a stronger player. And City are going to be able to support him. We can't go off anything. He was feeling it, and the poor lad, his face, it was written all over his face that he looked scared. And
I think, listen, that's the only thing I would be a bit concerned about is I've not seen a player look as overwhelmed as that. I don't think. I mean, maybe it's because I watch City more, so I'm going to scrutinise more. So maybe I'm being a tad unfair. But honestly, I've not seen a player. Maybe since there was one at Arsenal years ago. Was it Abue?
Well, the one that he was crying, wasn't he, Abue?
Yeah, exactly. But mate, there was a point where Kusanov, I actually thought, oh my God,
he's gonna. He was nearly.
He was in a bad way, and I think after that foul, I thought, oh shit, we just need to. And the thing is, I'm so glad Pep did weather it, and I understand why he did as well, because I think when you say, will that be detrimental to his career at City? I absolutely agree. No, it won't. However, if he hauled him off inside 10 minutes, I think that would have been pretty detrimental.
Yeah, no, look, it worked out well. Pep did the right thing in the end, hooked him after 52, 53 minutes.
Yeah.
Saved him getting a red, didn't make any more mistakes. City win the game, and look, like you said, he can't speak a word of English, so it's gonna be. I'm not sitting here babying any player at this level because you could honestly, you could send me out there in this state I'm in now, 34. Not played football for 10 years and roll me out and I'll take the criticism for 100.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm sorry, it's tough. I hated seeing Xerxes the other week, but you were shit, mate. You're playing for big clubs. Look, City fans aren't going to do what United fans do because we've reached our sort of
end of tether, innit?
There's been more better signings than not, whereas we have not had that.
Yeah, that's the lucky thing. He'll be afforded a lot more leeway than, say, if you go in at United and you do that.
Look,
in the current state of affairs, you're going to be under a lot more scrutiny, whereas at City, if you have a bit of a mare, we still won. So, it really glossed it over a lot, but he did, to be fair, on the back of it, he did actually come out and show some good attributes. When he sprinted over and bodied, I forgot who it was on the wing. Yeah, so I certainly think there's a player that, he's absolutely rapid. I'll give him that.
You can't take anything. Like I said, Vidic and Evra were shocking. I forgot it was against City, but yeah, they were awful, and they became two of our best players. Vidic, one of my favourite centre backs of all time. Absolutely loved the guy. Actually became good with his feet as well. Just an absolute monster.
In fairness as well for Kusanov, I felt like, when I saw the lineup, I was like, today's a loser. I know people could say you're just saying this now. I swear to God, I thought it's a lose-lose situation for him today. The back line has been shocking all year. You know my opinions on Akanji. You know my opinions on Vardiol. Yes, he did score, but what have we got? We've got a player that on the back line that's good for a goal, but he can't defend. Well, it's not very useful then, is it? Going forward, do you know what I mean? So when I saw our back line consisting of, fuck it, mate, a young lad comes in that can't talk English. He's playing with Akanji, who is bang out of form, has been shit all year. He's playing with Vardiol, who pretty much came off almost an own goal against PSG. You might as well have put it in the net for him in the last minute. Plus, his general performance was dog shit. You've got Nunes on the other side. He had no support. It's not as if he's coming in when City were at the peak where we had Walker, Diaz, and Cancelo. You know what I mean? You are talking top players who are going to get an arm round him and he'll sort of get carried a little bit. Mate, he had to come in and be our best fucking defender.
Yeah, it was tough. I have got some good news just to wrap it on Kusanov. This will cheer you up. So, Kusanov's agent revealed Manchester United were interested. The Manchester United scout 2023 recommended Kusanov for signing. Erik ten Hag refused the signing, said he doesn't rate Kusanov. So I've got some good news for you. He's probably going to be the second coming of Maldini. Because Erik ten Hag's fucking knowledge of who's good and bad is ridiculous. So if ten Hag said Kusanov's crap, I've got good news for you. He's probably very good. So yeah, I'll end it on some good news for you. But yeah, mate, I thought. Oh, sorry, switch the light on.
God, I thought you'd gone to Evan then.
No, ten Hag. Yeah, man. So no, I thought there was some good signs for you. It's just been up and down since January, hasn't it? But
mate, it's the best. It's the best I've seen us. To be honest,
I thought you dug in as well. I thought there was some good graft. And look, this is what January does. Like I said about Foden, it's not just that. I do want to ask you something, right? Okay, so the signing of Mamouche, he started on the left wing. Now I know this could be fluid, but he did start left hand side.
Yeah.
Now this is the third year in a row. Well, you could say this is probably the fourth left winger if you count Savinho. I know Savinho's played on both. This is the fourth left winger in 3 seasons Guardiola has signed. So you've got Jack Grealish, 100 million. Doku was around 50. Savinho was whatever Savinho was. I'm not sure. Was he a bit cheaper, 35 or something?
Yeah, about 30.
35. Now we've got Mamouche for a biggie. He's gone for about 80. So just what do you think that means for the rest of them. I mean, all the other three that I've just mentioned, and yeah, just obviously Guardiola he's really looking at this position to invest in, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a strange one with Marmoush because we don't really know eventually where he's going to settle within the squad. So we'll have a more rounded view maybe in 3 or 4 matches. However, yeah, if we want to play devil's advocate, just say he's going to play on the left, then Grealish is gone. I think we can all settle on that. He came for a big fee. He's had one good season, and the rest of the time he's been ineffective, out of form. I mean, how many goals has he scored for us since he arrived at City? It's not. I'm not all about goals as well, and I know he's not that type of player. But there's a fucking line. I mean,
he's got worse. I mean, since he's been
it
here.
It just seems like he's got his move, and he's done. I don't even know where we're going to ship him to.
You know when I was talking about Foden and the sort of, I'm not going to lose my place. Look, Foden's a better player than Grealish, but I just look at Grealish and he's laughing on the bench.
He's not arse, mate.
And it's like he's not got
this little bit. It's a very good point. You make that, like, you'd be pissed if you had a point to prove on the bench. You've saw Savinho, a young Brazilian lad who's coming from our sister club in Girona. He's come in and he's ahead of you. You've got Doku who came in, like you said, a couple of years ago, and he's been less than, he's not exactly lit the fucking team alight.
No.
And these guys are all ahead of him. And he's there just laughing on the bench, not really arsed, posting on his story, well done, lads. It's like, fucking hell, you're not trying to get back in the team. Do you not want more for yourself?
Yeah, it's wild, especially because he was so upset with Southgate in the summer. Sorry, last summer, with the Euros, and he did the interview about how he felt he was hard done by him. Me and you, we didn't agree. I don't think me and you used that terminology. I think we did say we would have took him, but
I'd have took him, but he certainly didn't have a right to come out and be as
upset. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Take your medicine. You weren't very good, mate. Like, yeah, I think there's people like me and you who thought his skill set would have benefited, but Southgate dropped him for a fucking good reason. The same reason he dropped Rashford. So it just
exactly.
Yeah.
In answer to your question, bro, going forward, I think it's going to be ultimately Marmoush, Haaland, and then you're going to have a bit of a Foden / Savio interchanging role on the other side, I'd say, depending on where he really sees Foden, if he's going to play him centrally.
Do you think Savinho's minutes are going to get chopped now?
I don't think so, because ultimately there's still a place up for grabs. I don't think Bernardo's going to be starting on the wing, surely, ahead of Savinho now, especially maybe in the bigger games where Pep wants this control, that we need another centre back in Bernardo on the pitch. Possibly, he's going to do that.
I think if De Bruyne goes, and certainly Silva, I think there's minutes to go around right now, because you can pretty much nail in De Bruyne or Silva's going to play every game until the end of the season.
Yeah.
You can argue whether that should happen or not, but that is factual. Then you're going to have to play Kovacic and Gundogan in centre mid. So Foden isn't going to be in that central role because De Bruyne or Silva will be, or they'll be rotating with Foden. So that leaves Foden, Marmoush, Savio going into two positions. Obviously, Doku can forget it. He ain't getting in again, I don't think. I mean, he's going to be a sub. Well, he has been a sub anyway, and Grealish might not make the bench. But Savinho, I do think there's going to be a hit on his minutes between now and the end of the season. Like I said, if Kev goes and Bernardo goes, Foden could move to that proper number 10 and free up the right-hand side again. But right now, like I said, unless De Bruyne gets injured, I think Foden's going to be on that right, whatever role it is. And Marmoush left.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you going forward. But I think, to be honest, I'm actually fine with that, because I think Savio needs that. I don't think he needs he didn't really need a first season where he was launched into it and under the pressure, because then you start everyone starts getting onto him saying, oh, well, he's getting no goals. So the pressure's building. I want a season where, like Doku had, he could come in, come out, no one was really bothered, and there was no sort of pressure on him. I think having Foden in there, Marmoush, he's not going to give a shit. He will happily play every match, because, to be honest, I do think the guy's going to get goals. I mean, he came in, he did an interview, and they asked him to describe himself. He was like, I'm very fast, I'm very dangerous. Like, he's got bollocks. He's not really bothered about... He obviously rates himself.
Yeah, no, I thought that. Yeah, I was impressed. So that's great. Glad you found another golden egg while we get all the duck eggs. But yeah, no, I think look, who bloody knows with City at the minute? Until you piece together a 5-game win streak, which has been your
Dude,
bread
we
and
won't
butter.
though. Like, this is the thing, and I'm kind of bored of the thing online with City. This are they back? No, we're not. We're not going to be back. We're not going to be back all year because our
Yeah,
defense is shit, and we haven't got a midfield. We've just got a giant fucking crater in the centre of the pitch, and we're always one pass away from a team being 1-on-1. So
yeah.
forget
Well,
this being back bollocks. We're going to link to the
exactly.
end of the season. Hopefully, we can sign someone good. But in all honesty, I think we're going to struggle midfield wise. I'm not really seeing many rumours who we're going with. It just keeps this Douglas Luiz thing keeps circling. I just wish we'd fucking get him and get it over with. To be honest,
Yeah.
it's
You're at
annoying
that
me.
point now where it's going to be a body in it because you've got four days left and you've done your heavy negotiating, haven't you?
Oh mate,
Uh,
they've got to get someone in. Being serious, because the players that we've got there, I mean, they look on their arse now. We're in
yeah.
January, for fuck's sake.
Look, I mean, this is it. You're sort of looking around at the rest of the team, and I was talking about how you could tweak the tactics, but PSG just completely swamped you. I mean, appreciate their midfield was even better than we expected. Jan Evers was very, very impressive. But like we've mentioned, going around Europe, you're gonna have the second best midfield in a lot of ties in the Champions League. I think top four. I think you'll be okay. I think you'll be okay. So I think you'll score goals.
I think we'll come. To be honest, I think we'll probably come third.
Yeah, I'll probably say
I can see
third.
Forest dropping off.
Yeah, I think you'll, and I wouldn't rule out a bit of a push with Arsenal, but Liverpool now they've got so much of a cushion, man.
Oh,
I mean,
they're in the sunset.
I
I
know,
tell you
I
what,
know.
just one thing, Alex. You know, you just mentioned about Jack Grealish.
Yeah,
So I know you, in tongue in cheek, you might have been saying he might not make the bench. Well, I'll just remind you, Oscar Bob is back from injury now. He's back in training. So if you're looking at who's coming off the bench, it's going to be Oscar Bob, and
mm,
it's going to be either Savio or Doku.
yeah.
Now, I don't know where he comes on. Is he, like you said, is he even making the bench? Does Jack Grealish make the bench anymore
Yeah.
for this City team?
Well,
Our
I suppose
£100 million
I
man.
bet back in the day, when you had five people on the bench, you wouldn't have done. Now I don't even know how many people they let everyone on there, don't they?
Oh,
But
we've had
yeah,
Scott Carson on there because he's funny apparently for the
yeah,
last
yeah,
5 years. So I'm
yeah,
guessing Grealish does seem like a fucking laugh. So
oh,
they
for
might just
sure,
have him on there for that now.
yeah. So right, so looking ahead, the big games don't stop, and there is a biggie on. Is it Wednesday? Forgive me,
Bruges.
Tuesday or Wednesday. You got Club Brugge. So City currently lie 25th. You're a place out of the a place out of the playoffs, but to progress to the Champions League next round, you are 2 points off of Stuttgart, Sporting, PSG, Benfica. Quite a lot of teams bunched up above you.
Yeah.
But cut a long story short, you've got to win. If you draw, you're out. There's no way you can jump anybody. You are
Yeah.
2 points. You are 2 points adrift. A draw would put you on maximum of 9. So, Club Brugge on Wednesday. How are you feeling about this? And just, is there any sort of nerves? I mean, what? I guess you're confident going in that you're going to win, but I mean, is it a weird one for you based on
Oh
how the
yeah,
last 4 years
it's
have
a bit
gone?
of an horrible one because we needed some sort of like stellar performance from some of the boys. You know, from our boys in the past, KDB needs to come up trumps. Haaland
Yeah.
needs to show it. So does Foden because ultimately Marmoush can't play. He can't play till the knockout stages.
Yeah.
So we're going back to the old guard here, and they're just going to have to get us over the line.
Yeah.
I do think they will. I think we'll have just about enough. I think they'll score because we can see. Let's face it, we can see to everyone.
They've only.
Um,
What I will say on that is they have only scored 6 goals in 7 games. Club
yeah.
Brugge.
Well, I know
Don't-
where the seventh is coming from.
Just hopefully not the eighth
So
because you might be literally out then. But yeah, yeah, man. Look,
Vardiol will see to that record. Lad, I won't worry about that.
Guardiola, the duck. But yeah, I, I think you'll turn up. Like for all the criticism of the Etihad, I love a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek joke about, the atmosphere at times. But in fairness, I mean that applies to fucking the team I support and everybody else, even Anfield. But there has been Champions League nights at City where you've generated that feeling of, and I think in a way, the way the season's gone, it's a nice little, it's a fucking random game in January. But I also think it's a nice one for the fans to really get
Yeah,
stuck
bit of a
into.
cup final, isn't it?
And hey, there's big pressure on this because ultimately you're not going to win the league. You're out the Carabao. And for a team that has won trophies, I mean, I bet Guardiola's not had many trophyless seasons in his career, if any. So you've got the FA Cup and the Champions League to look at, and so you're going to obviously want to do the best you can in the Champions League. I don't think you've got the best chance, but again, I wouldn't rule it out. And you don't want to go out to fucking Club Brugge, do you? It's not even.
No, exactly. Honestly, I think I'd expect to see City start fast. I think we'll get an early goal, and I think if they do, it should settle some nerves. The only thing I would say with City is that we seem to be getting ahead and like letting teams back in and letting them in too easy as well. So I tell you what, mate, what I would be very nervous at. I mean, usually I'd say I'd be nervous if it was 1-0 with 20 minutes to go. These days, foot knows I'd be nervous if it's 2-0. I just hope we've got a decent, I just hope we've got a decent cushion going into the last 20 minutes, and we can knock it about, keep the ball. Yeah, I don't want to be seeing some like heavy metal Klopp-esque football, and we've got a 1-goal lead, because that's ending one way.
Yeah, I mean, Haaland is playing really well at the minute. PSG was a tough one for him, but he still scored. But yeah, he did have a bit of a no-touch game. But again, you're probably not utilising things you can utilise. Not that I think you're going to have to go route one against Club Brugge, but I do think Haaland is in that mood at the minute where, you just think he's going to get a couple. I won't rule out a trick, to be honest. So yeah, I don't foresee any problems. Like you said, it'd just be the nerves if you did, like, 1-0 up with 15 minutes to go and they're getting balls in the box. Like, you wouldn't want to be in that situation.
What seems a bit strange with City as well in the past years, I don't know from your point of view from an opposition fan, but City have always been at their most devastating going through KDB and the through balls, which are just ruthless, and ultimately teams just cuts the team in half. Whether he does that from the outside, cutting in off the right, or he does it just centrally and he just severs the team in half. Now, we've gone away from this. I understand, obviously, KDB isn't the same player he once was when we were doing that, but why have we suddenly gone to, we now go through these inconsistent wingers who, well, no, they are consistent, they're just consistently shit. So we keep going through Doku, giving it him one-on-one, he gets past his man, he can't do anything. I don't want to go at Savio too much, but ultimately he has done pretty much similar to Doku. And the bit better output. But, so I don't understand why we strayed away. I think we need to go back to what we're good at. Whether that's through Foden or whether it's through De Bruyne, we need to play to our strengths. Like you say, if that does mean hitting Haaland long and then him laying it off to Marmoush or Foden, he is going to ultimately pull two defenders with him. And he is good enough to hold them off, lay it off to one of the other dudes who can sprint at their defence and worry them. And I think that's our way forward for the rest of the year. We're not going to win the league, but at least get the best out of the players that we've got.
Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. What people forget about the Champions League. It's a cup competition, and to be fair, City have under-delivered under Guardiola in this tournament, and it would be amazing to cop one in this season because nobody's expecting it.
Yeah.
You've seen, like I said, you have a look. You could pull a really difficult playoff. We looked at the Bayern in there, maybe Real are in there, and you think, oh god. I mean, even Juve would be a horrible tie. It'd probably be a goal that'd settle it. But if you got through to the quarters, you've got the goals. You think if Marmoush is rolling by the quarters, Haaland's always going to be a threat. And like you said, I think the De Bruyne position is interesting. You're struggling because you're not moving it as quick as you used to, and you're also conceding the ball more. So you can't seem to get De Bruyne in that inside right where he's so lethal. And when you do get it to him, because the attack's more slower than it's been, there's a guy on De Bruyne and he can't work the yard, and it's just it's fine margins at this level where you're losing that yard, and the pass isn't as snappy as it used to be. And that's the thing. Look, he's still got the stand and deliver quality. We saw that the other week at Brentford, didn't we, with De Bruyne? So, and you've got the best box striker on the planet. So there's no reason you can't be a problem. No, look, it doesn't. Assuming you take care of Bruges, nobody's gonna. We talk about City struggles in the playoff. Potential Bayern, Real, whoever you might get. Nobody wants to see City in that. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah,
they don't, because you could, let's say, okay, Bayern would be favourites against City. I would agree. Real Madrid would be favourites against City. I would also agree with that. But I'm telling you right now, they want to pull a Bruges in the playoff, or they want to pull a Stuttgart. Real Madrid ain't thinking, fucking hell, I'll
Oh
say
yeah,
City.
it's not the year where they'll go, we want them, because City at this time, they're like a who needs them sort of team, because ultimately you're going to get shit if we beat you, but we're a bit of a sleeping giant, and ultimately they've just gone and signed one of the best players like best form players in Europe. So you are going to be looking at that thinking, fuck me, they've got Haaland and Mamouche. They are going to be an issue for a lot of defence. No defence is going to look at that and go, oh yeah, we want it.
That's the thing. You're going to concede the midfield battle, but you like to think your front three are going to be the best front three on the pitch.
Yeah.
There's a few occasions where that might not be the case, but I don't think you're going to go into a game like we haven't got the best firepower, So it should be fun. Look, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Certainly Wednesday's going to be interesting. Look, it might be over in 10 minutes. City might come and blitz them and be 2-0 after 10 minutes, and Bruges can't get out their half. I wouldn't rule that out, but
I hope so.
let's see, mate. So yeah, I think that's City's week. I don't know who you've got the weekend, but I'm sure we'll be jumping on for a little episode before then. The end of the window, maybe do a little bit of a post game.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because both of our clubs, I think, have got one. I mean, Fabrizio keep posting. He keeps saying City have got one more in them. They want a midfielder. Ultimately, I think United, we could see a bit of movement there. We could see Rashford, Garnacho. We could see old Vegas getting the call up again. God knows what you're going to do.
Let's run Weggy and Sabitzer back. Yeah. Let's just get all the loan players in that we've done in the last. Sabitzer, Weghorst, Igalo. Let's just get them all back. Amrabat. We should have fucking signed him. He was actually all right.
It makes me laugh, like, with United, Amrabat was one of them players where everyone was like, oh shit, send him back. He's not the player we thought he was going to be. But then they somehow go out there and then end up with a worse situation the year later. You should have just got him.
It's impressive because we actually keep replacing players but getting worse.
I know. It's like the funniest game of top trumps that United are just playing.
I think Martial's Athens' top scorer now. He's had knee surgery. Apparently he's looking back to his best. We're fucking cursed, mate.
Oh, honestly, I tell you what.
I think look, the tide has got to turn. If we continue like this is a thing. Every summer, my partner laughs at me every summer because I go and I go, I'm ready for the summer. I'm sick of this fucking team. And then it's like it gets to this. Every summer for the last 3, I've gone, it can't get any worse. If it gets worse from here, we are going to get relegated. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's not much room for error anymore. Like, you are at that point of the table.
Don't get me wrong. These knobheads have proved me wrong.
God, who are you going to get in? Imagine if Amarim goes, who are you going to get in for a relegation? But you're going to have to get Dyche.
McKenna.
God, you'll have bloody Mike Phelan doing something.
Oh, mate, it's going to be funny. But like you said, such an interesting time of the season for both of us. Not that we're battling out with the Scouse half of Liverpool, but
listen, mate, as well, this game is huge. Joking apart, I know we're laughing, but if City do go out on Wednesday, I tell you what, there's our season is absolutely fucked because we're playing for nothing in the Prem. We've already just established at best we're top 4. So then what? We're playing for our whole season for like a couple of cup final games against at home against like bloody the top sides, and also hoping for an FA Cup run at best.
Another FA Cup final against yours truly.
Well, that'll be good.
A hellish tie, because like you said, we're the shittest party poopers in hitting football history, but we keep pooping the parties. I don't know how we do it.
Knowing my luck, fucking Højlund will score.
Yeah, that's how bad we are. We're so bad, you're scared to criticise.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, it's going to be fun. So I think that wraps it with City. I think we've
covered everything, lad, yeah.
So we've got, like I said, we'll definitely be on whether it's transfers, whether it's a shock exit of the Champions League, or United slip into the playoffs of the Europa, or Garnacho has gone, or Rashford and Amarim have had a fight at Carrington, whatever it is. We will be there this week. We will be there.
Any fireworks, we will be there.
So shout out anybody listening, appreciate it, like, subscribe, and we'll see you probably before the weekend, I'd say, Christian.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Bye-bye.